Welcome to another week of Inter County Sports. Shout out to the Shoot Fashion. Shout out to Kingdom Yards Productions. Shout out to MoCoFootball.com. Shout out to everybody out there that supports and listens to the show. I was out at the Sherwood Damascus game. Great game. Both teams were really prepared for one another, I believe. A little bit more points scored than I thought initially. Sherwood really improved offensively since the first week of the season, and they really showed it. The quarterback play, with Jordan Larson has really gotten better. But Damascus, man, they just have so much speed. They have a lot of team speed. Jalen Christensen, of course, Zach Bradshaw. They would bring kids off the bench that I've never seen before, and they were getting in the game and speeding by guys. Those guys were really prepared mentally, physically, emotionally for the game. And what I saw was a team that that made plays. At the end of the day, I believe that the difference in the game was the fact that Damascus was the one that made the big time plays. Sherwood got down at halftime 23-6. They came out at half and scored. They got the ball back and they scored again. They were looking like they were probably going to, and they were really looking like they were building something, and it really looked like they were about to win the game. They had a big 3-and-out. They got the ball. Sherwood got the ball back. Jordan threw a pass, hit a wide receiver's right in his hands, and the wide receiver dropped it, tipped up in the air. Damascus got the ball back off of an interception with 3 minutes left in the game. And the thing about it was, Sherwood actually let Damascus run the ball out with 3 minutes left. So I'm sure Sherwood fans were a little bit disappointed in that fact. But other than that, the team really played hard. Inter County guest Fitz Mofor played a really good game for the Warriors. Like I said, Jordan Larson played really, really well. Elijah Spotswood played well for the Warriors also. Moses Vines also had a pretty good game versus a very stout Damascus defense, I thought. And, all in all, I think the Warriors really have something to build on after this game, despite the loss. And as for Damascus, I think that a lot of people wanted to see them versus a big-time team, and we saw that they're, legit. And the other big-time game was QO versus Seneca. Seneca actually came up on top, I'm sure that made the, Gang Green, the Seneca Valley faithful very, very happy about that result. I knew going in that was going to be a defensive struggle. Last year was a defensive struggle. Both defenses were playing at a high level, so it's no surprise that those two teams, really duked it out and really got that thing going. Like they always say, big time players make big time plays, and really Seneca's, great to hear that Tyrell Williams is back from his injury. They're gonna need him down the stretch if they want to win a state championship. He's gonna be like the heart and soul of that offense from now on. Especially, he was before, but especially with the injury to the quarterback. He's really going to be the guy that will carry them offensively if they want to win a state championship. I still think that QO is a fantastic team, a great team. They just, the injuries I think caught up to them this week. Blake won again this week. For the people that are waiting for the Blake collapse, think that's not real. It looks like it's real. So I'm hoping that they're here to stay. I think that they're doing a really good thing for the county. The more good teams in this county, the better the product is when we go out to the games. And what they've done is next week, they have a really big game, and Wooten's another team that really stepped their game up this year. So that Wooten Blake game is a very big game. Wooten, I love what they're doing over there. They're changing up the culture. Like I said, I don't really like the jerseys, but they're changing up the culture over there and everything like that. I really like what they're doing. Blake is having a great season too. So I'm sure Wooten wants some of the love that Blake is getting right now as like that up-and-coming team, as the team that's surprising people a little bit. So this could be a really big-time statement game for Wooten. And then now, if they get past that game, you're really looking at that Seneca-Blake game as a big-time game. Einstein, Khalil Wilson, also a former guest of the show, had a very big game. I expected them to versus Magruder. They've really established something over there in Einstein that I think a lot of people need to pay attention to. Not only are they winning games, but they're getting kids into school, and the kids are paying attention in the classroom and everything like that. So I really do think that we should be paying attention to what they're doing too. The Northwest Churchill game is very, very important to the playoff picture. With the QO loss, there's a chance that Churchill could possibly have a number 1 seed in the playoffs, and if Northwest really wants to position themselves as a possible 3 seed, 2 seed, whatever the case may be, they need to win this game. So that's going to be a huge game. I think that definitely last week was a very good week. I think this week is going to be a very good week in MoCo. Yeah, the marquee games aren't there, but it has a lot of intriguing plot lines, a lot of things that can affect the playoff picture. So if you guys aren't doing anything on Friday night, I suggest you guys go out to those games, man, because I think that Khalil Wilson's really doing something over there at Einstein. I think that if you haven't gotten a chance to see him, I think you need to go out and see him, because he's really a special kid. When it comes on to, the rest of those games, man, I think that, if you haven't seen this kid Diggs, from Wooten, that's definitely a C. If you're deciding where to go, that's another game that I think that you should check out, the Blake Wooten game, because that kid Diggs is something special to see. But I believe that Blake is not, I don't think Blake is scared of him at all. So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. So, Matt Miller's going to be coming on this week, and, we got a lot of things to discuss. So, stay tuned, and thank you for listening to In the County Sports.
I'm a fool.
We're here with Raymond Dove from Blake High School. Had a great 3 weeks coming off a big win versus Wheaton. Basically, talk about you guys being underrated coming into the season. You guys started out, I believe, 0-2. What was the resolve in the team to know that you guys can rebound from that 0-2 start?
This team is full of winners, so the whole losing thing was not okay with every player on the team.
Right.
So we wanted to practice next week and fix every little thing.
Right.
Came back on top against Watkins Mill, and then we knew we had a big one against Paint Branch, which just fired us up because everybody thought we would lose by 40.
Right.
However you think of it. But we like being underdogs because we play harder, more aggressive, and we just love shocking the county. So people keep sleeping on us.
Right.
But as time goes by, we're going to wake them up.
Talk about that Paint Branch game real quick. What really gave y'all the confidence? And because at the time, there was explosive offense. Was it the QO games, seeing that tape, or was it just you guys really having that confidence within yourselves, know that you can really get that W? And what did you guys see from them, and what do you guys know about yourselves that we didn't know?
Defense, we knew that our defense was way better than their offense.
Okay.
We came out knowing that if we could stop them on offense, we would win that game.
Right.
And that's what our defense did. Our defense came out, played hard, played great.
Right.
Our defensive line was great. Our safeties was great.
Mm-hmm.
Linebackers was great. So we just came out ready to play. And the offense, all we needed was one touchdown.
Right.
That's all we needed. So.
You guys had obviously the early losses during the season, but you guys also had losses in the off season. You guys lost a few kids, to transfers or whatever the case may be. It is a tough situation in that consortium where kids can go wherever they want. But through all of that and through the adversity, you guys managed to rebound, and now you guys are really looking at a playoff berth. Talk about how you guys stay level-headed through the quick turnaround coming from possibly having a tough season to now a possible playoff berth. How you guys keep a level head?
Everybody on the team has one goal, and that's to make championship. So no matter all the adversity of losing transfers or people doubting us, we just play hard. And we have enough talent. Like, we lose talent, but we gain talent.
Right.
When people on our team are willing to move positions to benefit the team.
Right.
So as time goes on, we play hard. We win. We're not worried about anything else that goes on. We play our game.
Right.
We come out.
And you speak on it a little bit about the Paint Branch game. For people that haven't came out to your games, I understand the kind of athletes that you guys have. Explain to people the athletes that you guys have on your team. You guys are actually an athletic, fast team. Explain to people, what kind of team you guys are, and, saying when you come out to a Blake game, what kind of product you're going to see on the field.
You're going to see a lot of hard hitting. We're an aggressive team.
Right.
We take pride in our aggression.
Right.
So we feed off aggression. One player makes a big hit, it fires up the whole team.
Okay.
When defensive lineman gets a sack, it fires up the whole team.
Right.
Offense makes a touchdown, it fires up the defense. We just feed off of each other.
Okay.
And it's usually based off of aggression.
Okay.
But we play smart, though.
Right. Right. You guys are playing Wooten this week. They're building something over there, but so are you guys. You guys are on a roll. Talk about that game real quick, and just talk about how you're feeling going into the game. Obviously, you guys are feeling confident, but about that whole situation, going on the road and basically living up to now the expectations now, because people are now expecting you guys to win instead of being surprised.
Yeah, we go into this game very confident, but not too confident. We're confident because we know we're going to come out and we do what we do. We're
Right.
on top.
Right.
But we're not going to be overconfident to the fact where we're just going to look over them like another team.
Right.
As of last year, we came out overconfident, and they kept up with us.
Right.
This year, I think if we come out with our minds right, they shouldn't be able to stay in the game along with us.
Right. Got Matt Miller on, and we're gonna get straight to it, man. I mean, there was a big game last week between Seneca Valley and QO. Seneca Valley came up on top. You were at the game. Just talk about what you saw, the defensive struggle that it was, and Seneca Valley kids really stepping up and making big plays to win that game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was if you like low scoring, great defensive game. That's what we saw. I mean, it was it wasn't a poorly played game on offense by either team. It was just great defenses coming, playing their best and leaving it all on the field. At the end of the day, Seneca Valley made a couple more plays than Quince Orchard, and pulled off the victory. I mean, it's a slight upset, but Quince Orchard's had some injuries, and the offense has struggled because of them. Tyrell Williams came back at running back, and he had a good game. He had about 120 yards or so, but I think he carried the ball 25 to 30 times. I mean, he wasn't getting many big gains. It was Seneca Valley front seven was swarming to the ball and tackling him a lot of times in the backfield or for like a 1 or 2 yard gain.
Right.
And like I said, the first half was a lot of defense. I think teams combined for 6 or 7 punts, something like that. It was scoreless at halftime. I mean, both those teams put up points usually, so to be scoreless at halftime is pretty surprising. But Seneca Valley came out with a lot of different looks in the second half offensively and mixed it up, and they were able to take I think it was like a 35-yard screen pass from James Jones Williams to start the scoring and take the lead. QO came back. They scored themselves. They had Matt Choi playing quarterback. I think this was his first full game at quarterback last week. He split time, but he struggled a bit. He's not a quarterback first. He's been playing wide receiver for the last 2 years.
Right.
At least. So a lot of Quince Orchard's offense was just run with Choi or run with Williams, and they didn't have much of the passing game, but they were able to score on a 30-yard pass or so that was probably should have been an interception by the Seneca Valley defense. The ball was tipped, went through the hands of the Seneca Valley DB, and was caught for a touchdown. But
Right.
It's a great game, but the teams are evenly matched. If QO had their quarterback Murtaugh, the game could have gone. Might have been a different outcome, but they didn't. You got to play with the guys you have, and I don't think the loss didn't really set QO back. I think some people were surprised by it, but they'll still be, in my opinion, they're still the best 4A team in the county, and they'll still be, I'm sure they'll still make a deep run in the playoffs.
Just looking at where Seneca Valley goes from here, I mean, they have basically one mega game versus Damascus week 9, but they also have a game versus Blake, which is a team that's playing real well. And segueing to that, I don't know how much you've seen of Blake or how much known about what they've been doing, but talk about them real quick and talk about the surprising 3 games that they've had, and what that means for the 4A picture when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Seneca Valley is. I expect them to. A couple weeks back, who knew if they were going to win that Prince Orchard game, but they looked good against Prince Orchard. They actually looked better against Prince Orchard than they did against Churchill.
Right.
2 weeks ago, but they've won them both. Blake's going to be an interesting matchup. They've won 3 games in a row. I mean, they're hot. They're talented. Pretty much. It should be a good game. And if Seneca Valley, they can't overlook Blake. That should be a good game. I expect Seneca to probably prevail in that game. And like you said, it sets up the Week 9 clash in Damascus against Swarming Hornets, which should be, if everything goes the way it should go, both teams should be 9-0 and or 8-0 by that point, and battling for the number 1 seed in the 3A West. And that's going to be the next big game in the county, I think. And
Right.
looking forward to it. All the stars that both teams have on offense and defense.
Right. Churchill actually had a scare, and I believe you were at that game too, if I'm not mistaken, the Churchill Gaithersburg game. They wound up pulling that game out. Talk about Churchill versus Northwest, the importance of this game when it comes on the playoff picture, and what do you think is going to happen in that game, and what Northwest needs to do, what Churchill needs to do to win that game?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was at the game at Gaithersburg. Churchill had played them, and Churchill just came off the loss to Seneca, as I mentioned. So maybe they just weren't focused or what have you. But Gaithersburg played them tough. I mean, it was a close game. It was 7-0 heading into the fourth quarter. Churchill had the lead. Gaithersburg scored on a 75-yard run by Solomon Ball, make it 7-6. And then Churchill also scored with about a minute and a half. It was a close game. They weren't. They actually didn't look as good this week as they did last week against Seneca, even though they won. But they do have a big game coming up. Northwest, we both kind of battle for that, probably the number 2 seed. I guess Churchill still has a chance at the 1 seed in the 4A West with the Prince Orchard loss.
Right.
But, they're both battling for the 2 seed. They're both likely to end up the 2 and the 3 seeds. In what order, who knows? But I mean, they're basically, they're both very talented on both sides of the ball. They run 2 completely different offenses.
Right.
Churchill runs the option read on, likes to keep it on the ground and just get first down and milk the clock. Northwest is completely opposite. They run a spread. They like to put the ball in the air and score points.
Right.
So I think if Churchill is capable of running the ball, they've got a couple good runners. The quarterback Johnny Lee, running back Malik Harris. They run the ball with Blake Dove. Another guy who I hadn't seen until this week against Gaithersburg was Vinny Montgillian.
Yeah.
He had a heck of a game. I think he ran for about 50 yards, but he left the game with an injury. And, there was some speculation that it might have been a foot or an ankle. So I'm not sure if he'll play this week, but either way, they've got a bunch of options there on the ground.
Right.
Northwest, they've just got if Northwest scores early, it's going to be tough for Churchill to come back. I think, Churchill doesn't have an explosive offense, and if they get down 2 or 3 touchdowns, it might be the end of it for there. But it should be a good game. 2 very talented teams, and they're both fighting for a home playoff game. So it should be
the top 8 is coming out, of course. Quince Orchard slips to 3 with the loss to Seneca Valley. Seneca Valley actually now is number 1 in the county, with Damascus being number 2. Churchill's number 4. Sherwood's number 5. Northwest is number 6. Blake, with their surprising 3 games, is at number 7, and number 8 is Einstein. What do you think about that list right there? Who did you have? Is there any differences?
Yeah, I mean, my top 7 were exactly the same as it came out. I mean, I'd like to point out that Seneca Valley only beat Damascus for the number 1 spot by 1 point.
Right.
So it was very close, and very close. But I moved Seneca Valley from 3 to 1.
Right.
I had Quince Orchard at 1 previously, and the saying goes, to be the best, you have to beat the best.
Yes, sir.
Seneca Valley beat Quince Orchard, who many thought was the best and who's been number 1 all season.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was right to put them number 1. I mean, Damascus, obviously can be there as well. They had a tough time against a good Sherwood team.
Right.
But they're both. I mean, those 2 teams are so interchangeable, Seneca Valley and Damascus. I mean, right now it doesn't really matter who's 1 and who's 2 because that'll get decided.
Right, that'll get decided.
Yeah, absolutely. But so I had Damascus at 2. They're still winning.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't their best game of the season.
Right.
And Quince Orchard I put at 3. Like I said earlier, they're still the best 4A team in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I have to find some answers to score points. I mean, their defense plays lights out. Their defense is great, but you've got to just move the ball on offense a little better.
Right.
This week against Seneca Valley. 4, I had Churchill. They won against Gaithersburg, and I mean, there's in my opinion the second best 4A team. I had Sherwood at 5.
Right.
Cole says same reason they played Damascus tough, but they just the same way they played Quince Orchard tough. They just couldn't get over the hump and get a victory.
Right.
Northwest at 6. They just they won again this weekend. This week, like we discussed previously, we'll tell a lot about Northwest and if they're a pretender or a contender. I mean, they've got the teams that they should have beaten. They've pretty much beaten up on all year.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to play a good athletic Churchill team. See what happens there. 7, I did have Blake. I actually had Blake at 8 last week, and I moved them up because they continue to win. I mean,
right.
They're pretty much one of the teams in the county that nobody knows about.
Mm-hmm.
But off their they went 7 games, I believe, last year.
Right.
They're starting to prove that was no fluke. So
right.
Hopefully if they can win out. I mean, they'll get to 7 wins again. I don't know if it'll be. They could get to 8 wins, I guess, but I don't know if that'll even be enough to get a playoff spot in the North.
Right.
There that go 9-1, 10-0.
Mm-hmm.
Up to those points. 8, I didn't have Einstein, even though Einstein won again, and Will Wilson had another big game. I knew he would against Ruger, but I actually put Richard Montgomery in there. I mean, I had the 8th spot, like we talk about every week, is just one of those spots that's it's always just interchanging. I mean, I think this is the 6th week that we've done the poll, and I probably had 5 different teams at number 8.
Right.
So I mean, Richard Montgomery, they could be 5-0 right now. I mean, they could have beat Gaithersburg. Everybody thought they should have beat Poolsville, but they've beaten Hartford, Woodland, and Kennedy, who they should have. They've beaten this week. That should move them to 4-2 until they get to the battle of against the consortium, which will be tough. But
right.
Richard Montgomery could win 6 or 7 games this year, and they're going to try to sneak into that 4th spot in the 4A West.
Yeah, I actually had everything the same actually as the the top 8. The reason why I had Einstein there is because you really look at their losses. They lost to Seneca Valley week 1. That's the number 1 team right now. They lost to Damascus, which was the number 2 team, and they really beat up on everybody else basically that they were supposed to beat up on. So that's the reason why I had them number 8. But yeah, I agree with you. RM could have been easily 5-0, or at least 4-1. So Paint Branch also received some votes. Wooten, with the all-star freshman, the super freshman that they have over there, Mr. Diggs, they're receiving consideration too, and they're playing well. Like you said, that 8th spot, man, is really fluid. We might have a new one. I mean, Einstein has a very tough game versus Watkins Mill this week. So, we could be, having this discussion again And also Blake has a really tough game too versus Wooten. So we could have a totally different thing at 7 and 8 next week.
Absolutely.
That's something to keep your eye on this weekend, and I think it's gonna be a great weekend again. Not necessarily the big marquee games, but there's a bunch of little subplots going on, and I think that next weekend, after this, with the Blake versus Seneca Valley game, if Blake can get past Wooten this week, I think that could be a really big game. I might actually go out there. So definitely, man, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for calling in and representing MoCo football on the podcast, man. And which game are you planning on going to this weekend?
I mean, like you said, there haven't been any big games, no blockbusters this week. I'm still trying to decide. So if anybody wants to hit me up on Twitter at MattMiller8389, let me know what team I should go to. I'm open this week. I mean, I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna see. Like you said, there's a couple good games. Some of the games have playoff implications too. I mean, I haven't seen Damascus this year.
Right.
I've heard, of course, everybody says great things about them.
Right.
I might have to there and just see Walter Johnson on Northwestern Churchill. I've seen each a couple of times.
Right.
That game have playoff implications. So another team I'm kind of intrigued by is BCC.
Okay.
But their schedule lines up good for them. They could sneak into the playoffs again this year. So.
Right.
I'll probably be I'll be somewhere on the sideline. Definitely, I'm not sure which game yet, but representing MoCoFootball.com for sure.
Right. Well, thanks, Matt, for stopping by, man. I know you're really, really busy, man. So we always appreciate the time and the insight. So look forward to seeing you next week, and definitely talking about the big games again.